Hi everyone, welcome back to the Analytics Pod, where we dive into all things data analytics. I'm Kevin, and today we are going to talk about building a data-driven culture. Now, I know data-driven culture sounds a little corporate-y, and that's kind of because it is, but we're going to keep things light and entertaining and hopefully helpful. So let's jump right in. First off, let's talk about why any of this matters. Picture a team meeting. You've got one person who's convinced they know the answer because of their gut feeling. Meanwhile, across the table, someone else is referencing a spreadsheet with more rows than they have unread emails. Then the third person is busy doodling cats in a notebook because apparently cats are more interesting than business strategy. In a truly data-driven culture, those conversations shift from I think or I feel to the data shows or we can see a clear trend. Decisions are no longer about who can talk the loudest or who's been there the longest. They're about using measurable insights. This doesn't just improve your outcomes, it also makes your whole team a lot more confident in their decisions. So you want to establish a data-driven culture. Where do you start? Step 1 is leadership buy-in. This might be the least surprising advice ever, but it's important. If your leadership isn't on board, if they're still making decisions with spinning a wheel, then you can forget about everything else. Now, getting leadership to buy into data doesn't mean forcing them to memorize regression formulas or become Python wizards. It simply means having them champion data usage, ask data-centered questions, and publicly value insights gleaned from analytics. When a higher up shows that they care about data, it trickles down faster. Next up, you can't have a data-driven culture without, actual data tools. If you are still using ancient spreadsheets that crash every time you scroll past 10,000 rows, you're basically living in the Stone Age. You've got to set up the right software, dashboards, and data warehouses, or data lakes, or data oceans, or data puddles, whatever you like to call them, to make accessing and analyzing data easy. It's kind of like giving someone a car without an engine if you expect them to get insights without the right infrastructure. Start by identifying which platforms make sense for your business scale. It could be a robust BI tool like Power BI or Tableau, or maybe something more lightweight if you're just getting started. The point is to ensure that data flows smoothly from where it's generated to where it's needed. Of course, having fancy tools won't matter if no one knows how to use them. You'd be surprised how many companies invest big money in analytics platforms only to have them gather dust. So data literacy, the ability of your team to read, interpret, and communicate data is critical. Make sure everyone from your junior intern to your marketing VP gets some level of training. Teach them the basics of data interpretation and how to spot trends and how not to freak out every time they see a little downward blip on a chart. And guess what? Training can be fun. Gamify it, run competitions, hand out silly trophies for the best analysis, things like that. Create an environment where people enjoy leveling up their data skills. Now let's talk about team silos. Silos are those invisible walls that separate different departments like marketing, sales, finance, and that one secretive lab in a basement that no one knows about. A data-driven culture can't flourish if every team hoards its own data. Encourage cross-functional collaboration and data sharing. For example, if your marketing team is seeing a big jump in leads, maybe a product team wants to know what messaging works best. Or if your finance folks see trends in the cost of goods sold, maybe sales can adjust pricing strategies. Data is so much more powerful when it's connected across the organization. Think of data like puzzle pieces. No one single piece shows the whole picture. Let's not forget the fun part, experimentation. When you build a data-driven culture, you want people to feel safe trying out new ideas based on insights, without the fear of a single failure means eternal shame. The best data-driven cultures adopt a fail-fast mentality. This means you quickly test the hypothesis, learn from the results, and move on. Experimentation is where innovation thrives. Google famously gave employees 20% time, I don't know if they still do that, to work on passion projects, many of which turned into successful products. You don't have to copy them exactly, but consider giving your team freedom to run data-based experiments. Track the metrics, see what works, and pivot accordingly. Now let's face it, everyone likes a little recognition every now and then. When your team nails a successful campaign because they use data effectively, celebrate it. Share the results in a company-wide email, give a shout out on your team's chat, or send them a virtual high five. These small acknowledgements reinforce that using data isn't just some corporate directive, it's an achievement worth recognizing. And finally, remember that building a data-driven culture is never done. Data tools evolve, the business changes, and new people join the team. Be ready to adapt and stay open to new technologies, new methodologies, and new ideas. Because if your data strategy is as fresh as the 1990s internet browser, you might be missing out on some major breakthroughs. And there you have it, building a data-driven culture in a nutshell. hopefully. From leadership buy-in and the right tools to training, collaboration, and a whole lot of experimentation, these are the keys to making data part of your company's DNA. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the Analytics Pod, and ring the bell so that you don't miss out on future tips on data analytics. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!